What if the most intimate moment wasn't staged for a camera, but slipped into the world by accident and revealed more than any public confession ever could? Because that is exactly how this story began. Not with a red carpet appearance, not with a press release, but with a quiet morning routine that somehow made its way into the public eye and refused to be ignored. A short clip, a few seconds long, soft light, unhurried movement. Min-ho, Song Hye-kyo, morning. It went viral within hours. At first, people weren't even sure what they were watching. There was no dramatic background music, no exaggerated framing, just the subtle rhythm of a shared morning, something so ordinary that it felt extraordinary. Min-ho moving calmly through the space, familiar with it. Song Hye-kyo nearby, relaxed, unguarded, completely at ease. The kind of ease that cannot be performed, only lived. And that's when the internet froze. Because this didn't feel like content. It felt like life. Fans replayed the clip again and again, not searching for scandal, but trying to understand the feeling it left behind. The way the moment breathed. The way it didn't ask for attention. The way it felt private, even after becoming public. This wasn't about what they were doing. It was about how they were doing it. The quiet coordination, the shared pace, the unspoken understanding that comes from time spent together, not time spent pretending. Morning routines are intimate by nature. They reveal habits, comfort, the absence of performance. And that is why this moment struck such a deep chord. Because mornings are who we are before the world asks anything of us. Industry observers were quick to note what wasn't present. There was no stiffness. No hesitation. No visible awareness of being watched. Just two people moving through the start of their day as if it had happened many times before. And that familiarity sparked a wave of questions no one could ignore. How long has this been happening? Was this moment meant to be seen? And if not, what else has remained unseen? Min-ho has always carried a composed public image, carefully maintained over years of intense scrutiny. Song Hye-kyo, equally guarded, is known for her ability to draw clear boundaries between her public persona and private life. Which is why this moment felt so disruptive. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was gentle. It suggested a space where neither of them needed to perform. A place where fame paused at the door and something quieter took over. Fans didn't explode with demands. They reacted with wonder, with softness. With the kind of emotional recognition that comes when something feels undeniably real. Comments flooded in, not speculative, but reflective. This feels peaceful. This feels safe. This feels like home. And perhaps that is why it spread so quickly. In an industry built on spectacle, peace is radical. The clip offered no answers. No confirmation. No narrative to cling to. And yet it said everything. Because intimacy doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself in rhythm, in shared mornings, in unhurried movements, in the comfort of silence. Whether this moment represents a deeper relationship or simply a glimpse into a shared space between two people who trust each other deeply, one thing is clear. This was not a performance. It was a window. And once the world saw it, there was no unseeing it. Now fans wait. Not with impatience, but with respect. Watching not for declarations, but for consistency. For quiet continuity. For the subtle moments that speak louder than headlines ever could. Because if love ever reveals itself, it rarely does so loudly. Sometimes it shows up in the morning. And then the world notices. And the more people watched, the clearer one thing became. This moment didn't feel new. It felt lived in. The way Min-ho moved through the space suggested familiarity, not curiosity. The way Song Hye-kyo existed within the moment, unrushed, unguarded, spoke of comfort that doesn't need to be negotiated. These were not the movements of people learning each other. They were the movements of people who already knew. And that realization shifted the conversation. Fans stopped asking what they were seeing and began asking how long it had been this way. Because shared mornings are not accidental. They are built through time, through trust, through a rhythm that forms quietly, day after day, until it becomes natural. What made this moment even more compelling was what it did not include. There was no attempt to dramatize it afterward. No follow-up clip. No clarification. No effort to turn it into a story. The moment was allowed to stand on its own. And that restraint mattered. In a culture where visibility is currency, choosing not to capitalize on attention is its own kind of statement. It suggests that whatever exists does not rely on validation. It exists independently, protected by discretion. Industry insiders noted that both Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo have reached a stage in their lives where privacy is not just preferred, it is essential. They understand the cost of exposure. They know how easily moments can be distorted once they're consumed by the public. Which makes this glimpse feel even more significant. Because it wasn't polished. It wasn't curated. It wasn't trying to persuade anyone of anything. It simply existed. And perhaps that is why it resonated so deeply. Viewers weren't reacting to romance alone. They were reacting to peace. To the idea that two people, after years of public pressure, might have found a space where life moves slower and mornings belong only to them. That possibility felt grounding. In the days that followed, the clip continued to circulate, not as gossip, but as a kind of quiet reassurance. Proof that not all connections need to be loud to be meaningful. That not all intimacy demands explanation. This was not a declaration. It was a reminder that sometimes the most powerful stories reveal themselves in the smallest moments. And once they do, they don't ask to be believed. They are simply felt. And that feeling, long after the clip faded from trending lists, is what stayed.